this
you should come.
this
I should come to the Bhagavad
break,
Gita more.
and then this.
Has she been learning or in front of you?
No,
No, I actually work
it was real,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah,
my
so
mother was
I
down
finish quite early,
nose,
like I can make it
and
more,
then
but it just be
cut this lips,
Can I do more?
and
Did you
then
move?
this.
Right
But,
before, it's 4 miles from here.
Oh, yeah, that's close.
Then
Nice.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
2 o'clock afternoon.
Yeah, closer.
Because the Kaiser Permanente
What, were you
hours
here
and
yesterday?
No, I wasn't
Patient.
yesterday, so I don't know.
uh,
Oh, she's talking.
enter this, but the
Usually we'll
doctor,
work it.
Yeah,
then
exactly. I think
X-rays,
they-
then the blood test, and all formalities. Then he arrived,
Oh, we left.
and then my brother also lived this
Mine says
coming.
33 or
uh,
32.
My
Mine says
son,
30,
SanDiego,
30.
lived
Maybe that would make more sense.
this
Maybe.
three
And I think
days.
the time before that we left off
Three
was
days.
28.
Yesterday, today, and then
So I don't think I would have only gotten one
Monday
verse there.
got this 9 hours right. So what happened?
Thursday they read
Yeah,
Not yesterday,
the
Sunday.
yesterday. Yeah.
Planning. On Thursday afternoon.
Understand?
Oh,
That's what she's okay.
yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
Namaste, Saraswati, Devi Gauravanti. That?
Is that the mic? I think that's supposed to be for you.
The thing is that apparently, because it's going out on the internet,
Ah.
apparently this sounds better, so I requested to wear this instead of the other thing. So it works.
It goes on the internet?
I'm sorry?
It goes on the internet?
Yes.
I know, I
So
found
as
that
we
out too.
speak?
The evening class, not the morning class.
Oh.
Are they all, you hear it?
I know, I found that out too, and I was like, oh my goodness, well, better ask a good question.
Now, do you need sheets? Do you need a sheet?
I cheat, actually.
Yeah, two sheets.
Good too. Okay.
All right. I'll hold on to the sheet. Let's figure out what verse we're on. 30?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna finish
31.
this chapter.
33, actually. Yeah, 33.
No, I think it's 30.
My
No, it's not
bookmark
30.
says 30.
No way.
I thought
Yeah.
on Wednesday we left on 28.
Yeah, but this is not Tuesday. We
No, I
had a
know,
class
so
last
we-
night. You
But
hear
we
us?
usually do more than 2 though. That's what I mean. Would it
We
be
sometimes
farther?
do 3, even 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
right.
would it be farther?
Let me see. Got any ideas, Tim?
Pretty sure we're on
30.
text 33 because that's where my bookmark is, and I just
Yeah, but I think you're right.
I definitely remember that. Embarrassing.
Anyway, we can overlap a little bit. 32. Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Yashodanandana Vrjanarandana Yamunatira Yamunatira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Jaya His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Bhaktivedanta Acharya Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Anandakoti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad-gita Ki Jai. Asamaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Guranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On the 16th day of February 2016 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So we'll read text 32, probably on page 562. Maybe one or two books with a different page number.
Yeah, on 560.
All right, 1332. Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Paramatmayam avyayah
Paramatmayam avyayah
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Nakaroti nalipyate Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Paramatmayam avyayah
Paramatmayam avyayah
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Nakaroti nalipyate
Nakaroti nalipyate
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Paramatmayam avyayah
Paramatmayam avyayah
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Nakaroti nalipyate. Daniel.
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Paramatmayam avyayah
Paramatmayam avyayah
Sarirasto pikonteya
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Nakaroti nalipyati
Nakaroti nalipyate. Makis.
Anidvan nirgunatvat
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Paramatmayam avyayah
Paramatmayam avyayah
Shadirastopi kanteya
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Nakaroti nalipyate
Nakaroti nalipyate.
Anaditvan nirgunatvat
Anaditvan nirgunatvat Paramatmayam avyayah
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Shadirastopi kaunteya
Nakaroti nalipyate.
Nakaroti nalipyate. Anyone else want to try? Okay. Anaditvat, due to eternity. Nirgunatvat, due to being transcendental. Parama, beyond material nature. Atma, spirit. Ayam, this. Avyayah, inexhaustible. Sharirastaha, dwelling in the body. Api, though. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Nakaroti, never does anything. Nalipyate, nor is he entangled. Translation. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Purport. A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in a material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus he cannot be destroyed. By nature he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmidatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this is one of these verses which is a little difficult to understand in the sense that how does the soul not do anything? I mean, we're doing things all the time. I mean, we walk from here to there, we eat, we move here and there, we fly an airplane. We're doing things. So how are we not doing anything? And the reason why we think we're doing it, in the second chapter, one of the verses says that the soul is immovable, meaning that we don't actually go anywhere, which is like, that itself is a head scratcher, because we often talk about going back to Godhead. You don't want to go back to Godhead, at least. You know, and we go from here to New York or here to La Jolla or whatever. So how are we not going anywhere? And the reason why this is mentioned, and here this is of course, Srila Prabhupada is drawing from the previous verses. You remember? Text, let's see, starting with 28. Krishna talked about seeing. Every verse had the word pashyati or some variant in it. How one with the vision of eternity can see, one with the transcendental vision can see the soul and the super soul in each body. Is it? And those without that vision don't see that, and they're absorbed in the activities of the body. So now, in the present verse, Krishna has stopped using the word pashyati, but Prabhupada keeps bringing it in. In this verse and the next verse, he talks about vision. So the idea here is that we are living, there's a certain dreamlike quality to this life that we lead, in the sense that it's constantly changing, and it's ultimately insubstantial. This is hard to believe because this is all the life we know. We dream at night, and we forget the day, everything in the daytime. We're living in a different reality. And we wake up, and sometimes we remember a little bit about it, but most of the time we forget, and soon when we get absorbed in our daily life, we forget all about it. Right? So we really live on these two planes. But we know in the daytime, if you recall some of that dream, you realize, well, boy, that was pretty nice, or that was pretty scary, but I'm glad it was just but, you know, unfortunately it was just a dream, or I'm glad it was just a dream, if it's a bad dream. But in any case, it's not reality. This is reality. But the Bhagavad Gita and all of the Vedic scriptures, and it comes up again and again in the Bhagavatam, says that this so-called reality we live now is also no more substantial than a dream. It doesn't really, first of all, it doesn't really affect the soul proper. The problem is that we identify so much with the dream that we feel affected by it. We certainly feel physical pain, we feel physical pleasure, we feel emotional pleasure or pain, right? We're involved. But as you go through your life, you can see that you're passing through these states. And ultimately, what's the big significance? Okay, I never had the misfortune of breaking a limb. When I was a kid, some of my friends broke their arm or something, had a cast. Not a big life crisis, but it's pretty painful, and then, you recover from it. So, but I had so many, sprained ankles. I came close to death when I was 5 years old. I was in the hospital for a month with pneumonia or some kind of meningitis thing. I was cured, obviously, didn't die, but it was touch and go there for a while. I remember it vividly. because I was in isolation. I couldn't see my parents, it was an emotional shock for a kid that age, for a whole month like that. So I remember it, but ultimately, what's the significance of it? It happened to my 5-year-old body and my 5-year-old mind, and now both of those have completely changed. There's some, remnants of memory there, but when I die, I'll completely forget that. Completely forget it. Just like we forgot, all of us, I assume, none of us remember our previous birth, right? And most of the things we've experienced in our 25, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, we forget. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that happened that we forget. So think about it. Is it really that much more significant than the dream we had last night? Something that happened on January 3rd, 1994. That's 22 years ago. Okay, who cares? Nobody's really, a few people are, but very few, poring over the newspapers. What was the news of January 23rd? Right? You see what I'm saying? And if you go back, another 20, 30, 40, 100 years, it's even less significant. It's just like, no more significant than these waves coming in on the ocean. So now just expand this over lifetimes. We've been living these lives. When we were in our previous body, said, okay, maybe it was a human body. At a certain point, we had a non-human body. The dog body or the bear body, whatever we were in, at that point, that's what I know. This is my life, right? I gotta get something to eat. I gotta hibernate now. Whatever. I don't think those words, but that's the most important thing in existence. They don't care about any philosophy or we didn't care about any philosophy in those bodies. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is that the soul is constantly moving through. Even in this body, we've changed so much. That's right at the beginning of the Gita. It means that the embodied soul is passing through childhood, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, old age. And then at the end, when the body finally doesn't work anymore, okay, finish, go to another body, start all over again. It's going round and round and round. And when we're in the new body, forget about all about the old body and all the pains and the pleasures and the aspirations and the crises, and it's all gone. So that's what is being talked about here. The imperishable soul, that's us, is transcendental, eternal, beyond the modes of nature, in our real identity, despite contact with the material body. Now, how does the soul contact the body? That's a whole science. It's described in one purport. The subtle introspection of the great yogis, they can understand things that are going on in the body. Just like Ayurveda, you know how they do the diagnosis? Just by feeling the pulse. There's slight variations in the pulse, and they say, oh, you're having a problem with the kidney. Oh, you're having a little high blood pressure. I mean, that art is not known in Western medicine, right? So there's all kinds of stuff. So there's these 10 kinds of air that the soul is floating in the body. And the super soul, we've heard so much about the super soul, he's completely tuned in to the soul. In other words, he understands exactly the aspirations of the soul. And it's through the super soul, after all, Krishna, and who are controlling all the other demigods and everything, and that's how things are going on. I want to drink some water, right? So the desire is there in the soul, inspired by some signal from the body that it's thirsty, okay? It's a complicated thing. So I want to drink some water. Oh, there's some water over there. So then immediately the hand goes, right? And there, I pick it up and I'll bring it to the mouth. I don't think about all the complicated things of, the neurons firing and I'm burning up a half a calorie or whatever it is to bridge that. I'm not thinking about that. So there's obviously a higher power that is moving this body. I'm this tiny little soul in the heart, desiring something. The super soul is watching, and the super soul is expansion of Krishna. And there's a huge bureaucracy, right? We know about all the demigods. Nothing happens by chance and without consciousness. So they said we know about the main gods, right? Just like you have a bureaucracy, cabinet members. So the president has a defense department, has the education department, you know, the state department, all the different departments. Delegates, but ultimately, you know, they answer to him, or her, maybe next year, we'll see. But the point is, and then each of them have a department, meaning that there's underlings that does the bureaucracy. But the will is coming down ultimately, you know, from the top. And in the perfect government, Krishna knows everything, but he doesn't do anything. It's all delegated down. Krishna is doing what he wants to do, which would be what we want to do, right? Play all the time. I mean, isn't that what we want? You want to enjoy all the time, right? Nobody wants to work. Okay, now I got to sleep. Oh no, you know, I feel it. So that's what Krishna is doing, and he delegated everything down. And it's explained how he expands in Balaram and Sankarshan, and there's these 4 Vishnu forms. Then we get to the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu, Gavadaksha Vishnu, Chiradaksha Vishnu, and they're all for the creation and maintenance and destruction of this world. This world is not a place of pleasure, either for Krishna or for us. It's really, you know, although when he comes, of course, he enjoys, but basically he's got to fight the demons. You know, I mean, that's, you know, why would one come to a place where all kinds of people hate you or don't believe in you? You know, and read the Krishna book, you read, you know, the account. It's not, Krishna comes for us, you know, to help us speak the Bhagavad Gita. And, you know, but basically, he just wants to enjoy the spiritual world with all his friends. So we also want to do that, but we can't, because we're tiny. We're under the control of this material energy, even though we don't mix with it, and ultimately we're not part of it. And so the whole process of bhakti is to wake up from this dreamlike state. It's said there's 3 different stages of consciousness: waking, ordinary waking, which you're very familiar with, and dreaming while asleep, and then dreamless sleep. There's also like where we're just you're not dreaming and you're not awake, you're just sort of hibernating. But then there's a 4th state. That's the transcendental state. Beyond these 3, where you truly wake up and you see the soul and super soul, and you see yourself not at all entangled with this world. This is again and again described. So that's what's mentioned here. Nakaroti nalipite. If you understand, you're not actually doing anything. You're just desiring, and it's being carried out by nature. Then you're not doing anything for this false motivation of trying to please this body, because it's not you. We should do things for our self-interest. There's this idea of swa-artha. The word artha is very important. It means something of value. So often it means just money or wealth. But for the soul, it means more than, it doesn't mean material wealth. It means enlightenment, and it means freedom from the restrictions of this material world, including birth and death. And it means reinstatement in our natural situation, our natural position, called a swarup, where we're linked to Krishna constantly through remembrance and through service. And there's no death and rebirth, there's no old age like that. It's described as a spiritual world. That's really our swa-artha. So this great devotee in Bhagavatam named Prahlad Maharaj. Many of you have heard of Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada always called him Prahlad Maharaj, even when he was a child, before he became the Maharaj. But he was called Prahlad, so Shri Prahlad. So he was very courageous in that he was so fixed in the truth that even his demonic father, who was a declared enemy of Vishnu, he still spoke to him the absolute truth that Vishnu is actually our master and we should surrender him and serve him. You can imagine the courage to do that. You know, he's completely fearless. So in the course of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll find his instructions to his father, as well as to his classmates. It's very enlightening. So Srila Prabhupada, there's a series of verses that Prabhupada would always quote in one of those instructions to his father. So this word swarta comes in there, that's why I wanted to recall them. So first he begins saying to his father wants to know, where did you get all your strength? You know, and most of the strength that he exhibited was not perishing when his father tried to kill him, because he was seditious. You know, he was a student, and he was polluting the rest of the students by teaching them Krishna consciousness. The father was trying to raise them as good little Machiavellian demons, you know. But they were listening to Prahlad, and he was undermining the foundation of the state by, you know, just like Socrates, right, corrupting the youth. So he said, oh, we have to, you know, kill him. So he tries to kill him in all kinds of ways. Throwing from a cliff, crushing of the elephants, poisoning, snake bite, boiling in oil, everything you can imagine, cutting to pieces. But he couldn't, he was protected by Krishna because he was completely absorbed, just taking shelter, totally absorbed. So after all that, his father wanted to know, where do you get your strength? And he said that from the same place that you do, Father, from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Lord Hari. Father wasn't happy to hear that. So then he says, don't worry, Father, you'll never be Krishna conscious. And then he explains why. Matir na Krishne paratak svatova mito vipandyete griha pratana adanta gobi vishatanta misram punak punascharvita charvanam. The last line is very famous. Everyone can, you know, punak punash means again and again. Charvita charvanam, I'm chewing that which has already been chewed. If you think about it, this is what material life is. The same pleasure, you know, you're trying to get, it's a slight variation, but it's the same kind of, you know, pleasure you're trying to get from the material energy. But it's ultimately frustrating. You can't, you know, there's a little wave, you know, anticipation, experience, and then down, and satiation, and you gotta try again, you know, like that. It's not like steady ecstasy, or we'll just speak of super ecstasy. So he says, who is it? Matir Krishna. Those persons cannot place their mind on Krishna. Matir na Krishna. Padatak svatova. Either by getting together with others, or on their own, or meeting, you know. Matir na Krishna. Padatak svatova. Mito abhipandyeta grihapatanam. Now this word grihapatanam means those who are taking a vow, or really committed to materialistic household life. In the Vedic culture, that, you know, nowadays, to be, you know, have a nice home, family, and everything. This is sort of, well, this is a real step up from street life or broken home, or, you know, like this. But in those days, just being absorbed in materialistic life, even if it's household life, is so. Well, this is a blind well for the soul. We have to look beyond that, you know. So it says, Adanta Gobhir. Adanta Gobhir means the senses are uncontrolled. It's simply involved in material. Vishatam, Adanta Gobhir Vishatam Tamisram. One enters more and more into the darkness of ignorance. Because Punak Punaschari the Charvanam. Again and again, chewing and chewing. And then this word Svarta comes in. Nate, they means they. They who are absorbed only in material life. Nate vidu Svarta Katim hi Vishnam. They don't understand that the Svarta Katim, the goal of the soul, the ultimate valuable thing of the soul is Vishnu, is Krishna. You know. So what are their goals? Durashaya, Badya Artha Maya. There's the word Artha again, see? Durashaya means impossible to achieve aspirations, you know, for, you know, to live happily ever after. You can't do it on this plane. It's a fairy tale, you know. Ever after, the only happily ever after is in the spiritual world. But so Durashaya, Badya Artha Maya, their minds are absorbed in these external goals, nothing with the soul. They don't know their souls. They forgot about God, you know, everything in this world. And then Andayatanda, and this philosophy, this idea is inculcated from childhood in education. And all of the people and books and sources of knowledge that we accept as authoritative are encouraging us in this false philosophy. From your parents to your teachers to your priests to your, you know, Walter Cronkite. Does that name ring a bell? You know Walter Cronkite. He was the most trusted man in America. He was a newscaster. People believed him. He was, you know, a newscaster. So, so the point is, people we're helpless because we don't have any source of real knowledge, and so this false idea of Bhagavad, meaning the external goals, is reinforced again. So this is called blind leading the blind. You accept as a teacher someone who's also blind to self-realization, and they inculcate in you the same ignorance. So that's andaya tandaya, upaniyamate vishatandaya. And everybody, teachers and pupils, they stay bound up by the modes of nature. And then comes the solution to the problem. The Bhagavatam never leaves you hanging. There's always the solution. And so the solution is, he says, and listen for the word artha now. Naishamatis tavad urukruman grim spishat janarta apagamo yararta mahiyasam pararajo vishekam nishkanjananam navanita yavat. This is the verse about approaching a preceptor, someone who is beyond the grips of the material energy and who can actually give us enlightenment. So he says, Naishamatis, not Asham, those who are materially bound up can never fix the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, because we're talking about the ability to become self-realizing, God-realizing. Uru Kramanyan Spishati, they can't touch the lotus feet of Krishna with their mind. In other words, until, you know, what's it? No, it's it. Spishat Anarta Bhagamayararta. Now the valuable goal of getting rid of all of the unwanted things in the heart. So there's anartas, which is not unwanted things, and then there's artas, which is wanted things. So the most valuable thing, that we start with, is to have a means of becoming free from the anartas. What are those anartas? This is important to know. Hare Krishna, welcome. Do you want a book? Set her up with a book and a little stand there. Read it. You get to be big and everything. We're just going through a few verses by Prahlad Maharaj. Have you ever heard of Prahlad? You know Maharaj. So in the 7th canto, he's teaching his father. He's preaching to his father. And this verse describes how one can become free from anartas and therefore become able to become Krishna conscious. Because in Naishamatis tavad urukramam nispishityanata pagamo yarata mahiyasam pararado vishekam nishkanyanam navanita yavat. So here you have this pairing of yavat and tavat. Now, in Sanskrit, it's a very scientific language. You have these pairings like yata tata, where you draw an analogy. And this is in many ways how we learn. So it's just like this, right? Just as the spirit soul passes through boyhood or childhood and adolescence, youth, and old age, similarly, tata, it goes into another body at death. So yava tava is used to mean usually in the negative sense. As long as you're not doing this, you won't get this. Yavat is you're not doing this, then tavat, you're not going to get that. Sometimes used positively. When you do this, yavat, then you get this tavat. So in this case, it's negative. It says, as long as one does not bathe himself in the foot dust of a pure devotee, of a great realized soul, preceptor, one cannot place one's mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, which will eliminate all anartas in the heart. Now, what are those anartas? Sometimes they're mentioned as 6. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. So first comes material desire, lust, Kama. And then the concomitant, the brother of Kama is Krodha, anger. If there is strong material desire, there must be frustration at one point, which produces anger. Because you can never fulfill these material desires. The material world is not set up for that. You can try to fulfill them, you may fulfill them a little bit, but then it'll be frustrating. So Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Lobha is greed. When Kama gets out, Lobha is kind of, you're never satisfied. You want more and more and more. Lobha. Krishna says one of the gates leading to hell is Lobha. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, which is just bewilderment. Mada is kind of an intoxication of madness, and Matsarya is envy. Now, envy means not only jealousy, but also ill will, malice toward others. So these things that, to varying degrees, occlude our heart, and they infect us. And as long as one is being controlled by those and moved by those, then self-realization is impossible. These are anartas. Now, the chanting of the holy name, clears these out. And it's like a wholesale cleansing program. Cheto Dharana Marjana. This is the Lord Chaitanya's first words in the Shikshastika. Especially congregational chanting, where you're chanting together, it amplifies. First thing is it clears the mirror of the heart. What is the clearing it of? These anarthas. So this process of chanting, coming in contact with Krishna, this allows us to see ourselves as separate from this dreamlike material world. And that's what's being described here. Those with the vision of eternity, Prabhu puts that in, certainly, can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body of origin, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled. And on that state, it's kind of the Brahma-Bhuta state or the pure goodness state, one is able to move through the world without being tossed around by the waves of, because there's always going to be problems in this world. I always remark, here we are, we're sitting here, I've been in SanDiego for like over 26 years now. And it's been pretty peaceful, But here we are, Hare Krishna. But I remember one time, this front area, you go up the stairs, and now it's the ashram, but we used to have the store upstairs. And I think we had a restaurant over here, believe it or not, a restaurant. And so the store, would be open on in the weekends or something. So we go up there, and I was chanting Hare Krishna up there. And suddenly, everything was moving, like on a surfboard. It was a major earthquake. It was luckily it was centered in Joshua Tree, which is quite a ways, in the desert, high desert. But it was, these, we had a different set of these chandeliers, but I ran down the stairs until the chandelier was moving like this. And the earth, and I got outside, and it was still moving. It was like, it wasn't like a building, it was like a sidewalk too. And it went on for a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds or something, and then it quieted down and stopped. But suddenly, you realize how unsteady, you take everything for granted, I mean, everyone knows now, was it, I think 2011 in Japan, right off Japan, a huge earthquake, 9.2 or something, unheard of, And big tsunami comes in, and then they had this Fukushima thing, which is still going on. Until that happened, so many days went by, so many weeks, months, and years went by, and it was just going about it. And suddenly, boom, there's a crisis. Now, each one of us goes through our individual thing eventually, and it's like the end of our own little world. But when it happens in, with thousands of people, then it's very shocking, So these things are going on all the time. Mostly, obviously, they go on elsewhere. You see it on the news, or you read about it, But that's the state of life in this material world. It's just fraught with danger, and that comes up again and again. Now, to live we're meant to live our lives as if this may be the last day. This may be the last day, so I gotta get serious. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I mean, didn't we read that earlier on in this text 10 or 11? To always see the evils, of birth, death, old age, and disease, because Maya kind of lulls you into complacence. You think, well, I got some time left. When you get a little older, you realize, objectively, I don't have so much time left. So that's why you find that there's the ages when you're supposed to be more renounced, rather than just, you have to try to break the attachments before you leave, because it's those attachments that bring you back. Okay, any questions on this verse 32? This next one somehow always just really struck me, although I never memorized it actually.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
About entanglement.
Yeah.
So the soul, say, of the person walking down the street, is it entangled? Or does you have to be Krishna conscious to be unentangled?
Well, in the context of this verse and the next verse, this word lipyate is used. This is the word that's actually translated as entangled. It's speaking about every soul. No soul is really entangled in the sense that We don't really mix with these material things, but the problem is we think we are, and in that regard we are entangled.
Oh, okay.
But ontologically, if you will, we always remain pure. It's just like a oil and water, because you can mix it up, But really, oil and water don't mix, and then they'll just separate, right? They just don't mix. So we don't mix with the material energy. We're a categorically different energy, which is actually very encouraging. It means that the whole process is one of cleansing. It's not one of doing something artificial or getting somewhere where we're already not. And this is mentioned in context with the goal, because we have two basic features of the goal we're looking for. One is mukti, one is prema. In other words, from the point that we are now, we should be very concerned to get free of this illusion, which is convincing us, like anything, that we're getting old and dying and suffering, and we're suffering, the problems of this body. When actually we're just observing that, but because we're so identified with the body, we're very attuned to it. Therefore, we're suffering the things of the body. And at a certain point, it gets to be so bad that we leave. You can think like that. That when the body is untenable, we leave. And that's called death. But because of you're still attached, you come back and get another body to try it. So we don't. If we're simply attuned to using our senses and whatever we can in the service of Krishna, then we don't come back, because that activity can take place in the spiritual world, though. We don't need this world. And Krishna is inviting us back so many places here. So this word lipyate, yeah.
Could it happen towards the end of your body, because many people realize towards their death that they're not attached, or they realize something very different, which they didn't throughout their lives. So.
Well, yeah, everybody. It's provided it's not an instant, shock if you realize it. But the thing is, the mind is very stubborn. Just like you can condition your body, right? You can lift weights or something and do something, or learn to play an instrument. And what's going on there? Well, you're actually training your nerves and your muscles. Like I like to give the example. My father taught me to play the little flute, called the recorder, when I was 6 years old. And I always thank him for that, because I got pretty good at it, And I wasn't just playing whistle, but eventually I was playing a little Mozart on there, and stuff. So, many years later, when I joined, I didn't have one, and for years I didn't play. But then eventually I came across one. It was in 1983. I was, born, I grew up in the 50s, and I learned to play, and then I stopped playing in the 70s, 80s. And then 85, I came across one, and I started, and there it was. The memory was still there in the fingers, you learn to ride a bike, forget it. So there's that. Just like the body can be trained to do that, the mind is also being trained. And it's not so easy to change that at the time of death. Even though you feel like you'd like to be separate, you'd like to be detached, those deep-seated attachments are very difficult to do anything. And at that point, it's not possible. We have to do it now when we have good control over senses and mind. We can actually control. We can say, go here, and decide what kind of training. Because at a certain point, you lose that ability to control, and the mind is going to take you wherever it is. But it's a fact. You're right that a lot of things happen in those last days and months. A lot of regrets mostly. So we like to be able to look back on our life and say, okay, I did some service for Krishna. And that you don't lose that. Everything else you lose. You have to leave it here. Along with the body, you leave everything else. But that you don't lose. That's part of the consciousness. All right, let's read this next one here, because this is a really nice verse. Yata sarvagatam sakshnyad akasham nopadipyate sarvatravastito dehe
Sarvatravasito dehe,
tatatmanopalipyate.
tatatmanopalipyate.
The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Purport. The air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to its subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with this body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. So the idea here is that the air rests in space, but there's no mixing going on there. It just moves through space, but the space is much more subtle than the air itself. So the soul is not actually mixing with the body, but there's this arrangement I mentioned about the different airs. Well, if we don't mix with the body, how are we so much attuned to the body? Right? I know exactly, how my finger feels and all this stuff, right? I mean, a lot of things I don't know, but I'm attuned to this particular body. In fact, the consciousness is spread throughout the body by means of the bloodstream. That's why when your foot falls asleep, you can't feel anything, right? Because the circulation is stopped until the nerves get going again. So, but I don't know what's going on in anyone else's body. It's just the circulation, So there's a way in which the soul can perceive what's going on in the body, but we don't actually mix with it. And that's why the soul can maintain its integrity from body to body without really being changed at all. What is changing is the subtle body, the mind. That we carry with us. We don't leave that behind. That's explained in the 15th chapter. So the whole job that we have is transforming our subtle body, the mind, if you will. It's all the mind intelligence. Through the hearing and chanting process mostly, and other process of seeing the deity, serving, using the senses, both active, we have these we call knowledge acquiring senses, jnanendriya, in relation to Krishna, deciding to see the deities and the beautiful paintings, and to mostly read and hear transcendental sounds and to repeat them. This is the easiest process of yoga, by which the mind can be purified. And then we can experience how the soul is not mixing with the body. Devotees, they don't have the same sense of growing older. I can attest to that myself. One of the things that normal, growing older means that everything is changing, right? Your body's certainly changing, your environment is changing, the things that you're thinking are important are changing, relationships are changing, and they're getting more and more attenuated like that. But here, I've been doing this for like 43 years, and it's the same mantra, the same Bhagavad Gita, same Bhagavatam, same, different deity, but there's Radha Krishna, right? So much is the same, Prabhupada is there, the Krishna book, the same that. So you don't feel like you're, moving through, and the energy, the enlightenment that comes from Krishna consciousness, it doesn't wane with age. I'm still blessed with a healthy enough body to jump around a little bit. I know that if I jump too much on the stone, and I'll hurt my ankle, so I try to. I can't stop it. I still do it, but okay. I used to jump for an hour on the street, with kirtan. So, but it's so that's proof that this is a transcendental process. It's not, it's not like now I'm, what am I going to do now? I'm so old, I can't really enjoy it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the source of the pleasure is contacting Krishna and serving him to the best of your ability. So this is the way that we can realize this, but that somehow this verse always struck me, that just as air doesn't mix with ether, we don't mix with the body. All right, we won't finish it tonight, but let's do one more, and then tomorrow we'll finish it. And this is a similar verse about the soul. Yata prakasha yapyeka Krishnam lokam imam ravihi.
Krishnam lokam imam ravihi.
Chaitram chaitri tata Krishnam.
Chaitram chaitri tata Krishnam.
Prakashayati bharata.
Prakashayati bhagavata.
O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Purport. There are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in the Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, so a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul, as sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun. When the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body, and as soon as the soul is passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is a symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the Supersoul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between the supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. So one of the things is that, you know, we're spiritual beings, and when we begin to experience that, you know, source of spiritual energy by contacting Krishna, becoming Krishna conscious, then if we're really Bhagavad Gita and understand, well, everybody is a soul. Everybody has the ability and the right and the opportunity to also experience that contact with Krishna and make their life auspicious. And therefore, that is the impetus, because that's really the only cure for all the problems that exist in this world. You know, everything is all the conflict in the Kali Yuga. The word Kali means conflict, you know, dissension. It's due to this false identification with the body. You know, I have a body that's born in a certain place, right? And it has a certain color, certain language, certain traditions coming down, you know. And therefore I identify with that. There's these other people over there in that tract of land. They look different, they speak a different language, you know. Why don't we go over there and we can exploit them for our, you know, it's called imperialism. Oh, you know, the grossest ignorance, demonic activity. But if we look beyond the body and the place of birth and everything related to the body, we see, oh, we're all spirit souls. We're all relatives, right? We're children of the same Father. So isn't that what brotherhood is all about? Right? We have brotherhood when we see that we're all brothers because we have the same Father. And we find out how we can help each other to realize that by chanting Hare Krishna together, you know, and glorifying the Lord and serving the Lord together. And I've seen it, you know, I mean, I've experienced it. How the whole kind of different people who, without Krishna, they would never even look at each other, talk to each other, you know, different. But because Krishna's in the middle, Prabhupada's in the middle, and everything's happening, now we're dancing and chanting and serving, and, you know, we become friends. So that means we're really friends of all, every living entity, even the lower ones below the human mind. And that's why devotees try as hard not to hurt any living entity as far as possible. You know, because they should be able to, you know, and to try to give them, even to speak to the trees. Haridas Thakur, he was chanting loudly, so even the trees would benefit, and the plants. Yeah. What to speak of the, you know, higher beings, the beasts. And what to speak of human beings. So this is the way there can actually be peace in this world. And on that auspicious note, we have to adjourn, but you're all welcome tomorrow. We'll have a good class of the week. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Shishimana Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Bhagavad Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Srimad Paramahansa Prabhupada Acharya Shishimana Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prayer to Ghost Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shankar Radha Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Ganga Mahi ki jai. Yamuna Mahi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Vrinda ki jai. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Ranga. Namaste Narasimhaya. Vallabha Kankana Kalaye Ito Shinga Parto Yato Yato Yantato Shinga Bahir Shingo Enai Shingo Jasmine Namandin Sharanam Tapade
Right. Yes.
Okay, we're ready for you. How did you do it? Good? Don't worry. I have so much to do. Would you like some puris, milk, and sabji? Okay, here we go. There's enough for everybody. Yeah, it's pretty special. Hope it's not too hot. I mean, it's spicy. You want to taste it first?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, good. How about this fork?
Please.
One of the puris?
Yes, please.
I don't know what happened to the sweets. They must have been really good. A little milk.
She's not coming out.
How's that? Probably.
I texted her. They're 4 miles away now.
Oh, really? You moved closer?
I did.
Oh, that's you go back
That's
to
why I
walk.
wasn't here.
Where?
Balboa
Balboa?
and Claremont Drive.
Oh,
Balboa and Claremont.
Drive.
Okay.
Not Claremont Mesa, but or is there a difference? Is there Claremont
Oh,
Mesa
there's all kinds of
Boulevard
Claremonts.
and Claremont Drive? Hold on. Well, this one I know.
Claremont Boulevard, Claremont Drive.
Yeah, yesterday.
oh,
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, that's good.
Is that enough for you?
very good.
How about a puri also? Oh, there's the sweets. Simply wonderful. Robert, this is Prabhu's name, maybe. Simply wonderful.
It looks simply wonderful. Thank you.
We got napkin for you. Would you like some milk?
Oh, definitely. How do you make the flowers? They always taste.
Oh, the milk.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what they put in it. I did it. Sometimes they put cinnamon in there.
Well, it's just simply just more cinnamon.
Black tea. It's the black tea.
Okay.
Correct. Would you like a little something? More is it?
Do you mind if I eat first? No, maybe not.
Is that
No, way back.
one of these? Would you like a little spoon?
Oh my gosh, this is so good.
How's that? How about
I always do this.
Good.
That's what I do. I have a container.
Sir?
Yeah.
We're ready for you.
All of us. Smell. I hate when I do that.
It's very rich and more.
Yeah. I was like,
You
yeah.
fast or big this with
Were you off today? No.
About 40.
Um,
One put in.
Till 3:30.
Oh my gosh.
And then I
Who's
go home, breakfast. And then I come here. You know, but it's
Leche.
the milk. I don't know if it's in there, but it's like.
Is that okay?
No.
We good?
Yeah.
I'm very small.
Thank you.
Mm.
We have some time.
Mm-hmm.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
So are you gonna finish tomorrow? Subgroup, Subhadra, thank you. She's gonna help me finish whenever. It has to just be before end of the month.
Yeah.
Because I paid for all of this month still at my other place. So.
Oh, really?
Mhm. So my other stuff can just wait.
Mm.
I just got all the like stuff I really needed. All the rest
Essentials.
probably really don't need anyway. I started to realize that as I was leaving, like, okay.
I need to clean out my room so bad. And like donate a bunch of stuff. But I'm like such a big procrastinator. I'm like, we'll do it next time I'm off. And then I'm off next time.
Next time. Next time.
It's been like a month of next time.